So the interim bantamweight title fight between Cory Sandhagen and Petr Yan just wrapped up at UFC 267. And before I get into it, just make sure you subscribe for more videos like this one and leave a like if you like this video. But anyway, man, this one went 5 rounds. Petr Yan getting the unanimous decision. I'm a big fan of Cory Sandhagen, you know. It is what it is. I like the guy's fighting style. I think he's a cool guy based on what I've heard from him. So I tend to kind of root for the guy a little bit, but couldn't argue on his behalf for this one. Petr Yan just seemed to be the better guy out there at UFC 267 at least. You know, of course, if they fight in a couple years, things may change, but I just thought Cory's approach was a little bit different than his last fights, and he even said it something like that in the fighter meeting. I believe John Anik mentioned on the broadcast. I think Anik mentioned that Sandhagen said something about, you know, bringing back his volume style for this fight, not looking for the highlight reel finish as much. But, you know, I think looking for that finish is what really took Sandhagen to the next level in his last 3 fights, because even though he lost to Dillashaw on the scorecards, most people thought he won, and a lot of people also thought it was a pretty sensational performance where he pretty much, you know, just beat up a former champion, you know. So I think that urge to finish, not that it was an urge, but I think him seeking that finish is what kind of took his fights to the next level these last 3 fights. You know, even when he didn't finish TJ, he was busting him up. You know, he's bleeding, black eye. He was busting him up. He was sitting on his shots. I mean, when I was watching that Dillashaw Sandhagen fight, Sandhagen's cracking him with his right hand. I'm thinking, man, how is TJ still standing? But there was no shots like that this fight from Sandhagen. He was not. I mean, he threw some nice flying knees, which those are always going to carry power. But he wasn't sitting on his punches, you know? I mean, he would touch Petr Yan, but he wasn't sitting on it. He wasn't trying to hurt him and sting him with those shots, you know? At least it didn't look like it. It looked like he was trying to, you know, tally up the volume, win the round, but it didn't look like he was really trying to hurt Petr Yan. Um, like I said, the flying knees were definitely coming in with steam. But the punches, you know, that he could have sat on him a little more. At the beginning of the fight, he was working the body very well, hard body shots. I wish he would have stuck to that a little more throughout the fight because he kind of got away from it. But at the beginning of the fight, he was sitting on some nice body shots. I would have liked to see more kicks. I don't think Cory threw one head kick. Didn't throw one head kick, which, you know, maybe he didn't, you know, maybe there was a reason for that based on, you know, the film study or whatever he may have expected from Petr Yan. Maybe he was worried about getting tripped or whatever it may be, countered with a right hand or whatever the case may be. I'm sure there was a reason as to why Cory avoided those, avoided using those head kicks and whatnot. No spinning kicks, which that was probably a good idea. Petr Yan probably wouldn't have got caught by a spinning kick unless, you know, set up very well. Petr Yan had a nice spinning kick at the very end of the fight too. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting approach from Cory because, you know, obviously in his last 3 fights, he's just dealing out immense amounts of damage to his opponents, you know, knocking out Marias and Edgar and then, you know, beating up TJ Dillashaw pretty bad. But this fight, it just seemed like he was focusing on volume and not so much damage, you know. Which you can't blame him because he focused on damage in his last fight and he lost. You know, he damaged his opponent and lost. So I think that got to him a little bit. I think he after that loss he's thinking, all right, well, yeah, you know, whatever he may be thinking. I think that loss might have put the wrong idea in his mind. Not that he's got the wrong idea in his mind, but I just think, yeah, after losing that fight, he probably thought, okay, I need to just win these rounds. Forget trying to, you know, I think, but who knows what happened. At the end of the day, I think if Cory Sandhagen went in there really looking for a finish, really sitting on his punches, really trying to sting Petr Yan, it could have been a similar fight. Petr Yan could have pulled a unanimous decision. Who knows? Maybe Yan would have countered him and knocked him out, you know? So it's hard. It's not like you can just say, oh, Cory would have won if he would have implemented a different game plan. So ultimately, Petr Yan was the better man at UFC 267. It's hard for me not to expect these guys to fight again. I mean, I'm sure they'll meet again, and I can't wait to see it because that was a great fight. And Petr Yan, man, I've been talking about Cory Sandhagen this whole time. How about Petr Yan? I mean, starting off the first round, as usual, a little slow, and it's hard for you not to watch that first round and think, oh man, does Cory, is Cory gonna pull away here? Yan wasn't throwing too much. He's downloading the data, making his reads. And as the fight goes on, classic Petr Yan just turning it on, sitting on his shots. It seemed like Petr Yan just had a big power advantage in there. It seemed like he was willing to kind of roll with a couple of Cory's punches to give him a couple of his, and ultimately I think that's why it could have helped Cory to, sit on his punches a little more, gain a little bit more respect from Petr Yan, because I think after a while Yan felt the power and realized that he wasn't trying to Sandhagen wasn't trying to knock him out. At least it didn't seem that way. Like I said, Sandhagen threw 3 or 4 flying knees that landed, and if they landed flush, a little better, could have knocked him out. So it's not that Sandhagen wasn't throwing with power on occasion, but it wasn't with the same frequency as it was in his previous fights. But ultimately, even though he lost, good fight from Sandhagen. He got stung a couple of times, but he was never close to getting finished. He had a lot of offense coming out on his own as well. So, even though he lost, it's not like he got dominated. It's not like he didn't belong in there with Petr Yan. It was a very competitive fight, very competitive fight, but Petr Yan was just a better man that night. So, yeah, I think as far as Yan and Sterling unifying the belt, I think Sterling's got his work cut out for him, man. No disrespect, but Petr Yan is just an animal in there, I think Yan and Sandhagen are probably the 2 best bantamweights in the world, and, Yan just kind of convincingly took that W. So, yeah, I'd have a hard time picking Sterling to win the rematch against Yan. I'd have a hard time picking anyone to beat Yan right now, especially, after seeing what he just did to Cory Sandhagen. So, I think Yan is probably your bantamweight champion, undisputed right now, after he beats Aljamain. But even still, I look at him as the best in the world, like I said. And for Cory Sandhagen, who he should fight next, Rob Font and Jose Aldo are fighting in December, so maybe the winner of that or the loser. It's tough because, Cory's beat a lot of great guys, but and those 2 guys are kind of next up right behind him, and they got to fight, and the winner may not want to fight for a while after December, so it's tough. But maybe they'll give Cory a nice little bounce back fight, maybe like Cory and Sean O'Malley or something like that. So I don't know, they can find someone for Cory to bounce back against. Probably won't be Sean O'Malley, but they can find somebody. Oh yeah, Sean O'Malley's got a fight in December too, so probably not that, but yeah, they'll find somebody for Cory, someone for him to bounce back against, maybe like a Merab Dvalishvili or someone super tough like that. We'll see, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the bantamweight title unification. So I think Petr Yan takes it, but let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe for more videos like this one, and thank you very much for watching.